everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of The Lion's Den. I'm your host, Venezia Leone, and today I sat down with Brian Odle, Chief Commercial Officer of the Awareness Group, a company helping make alternative energy more accessible through financing, contractor networks, and innovative solar programs. In this episode, Brian breaks down what alternative energy actually means, how the Awareness Group connects sales organizations, contractors, financing partners, and homeowners into one ecosystem, and why they believe solar should be available to far more families than it is today. We also discuss the evolution of the solar industry, how financing and utility policies have changed over time, the challenges of scaling a capital-intensive business, and why battery storage and virtual power plants may play a critical role in the future of energy. Whether you're interested in entrepreneurship, infrastructure energy, or building businesses that solve large-scale problems, Brian brings a practical operator's perspective, and I hope you enjoy. Hi, Brian. So excited to have you on the Lion's Den today.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pleasure to be here.
Sweet. So I want to start simple. When people hear alternative energy, what does that actually mean?
I mean, essentially, alternative energy is, in very, very, very general terms, energy that doesn't come from fossil fuels. So what could that be? That could literally be solar. It could be wind. It could be geothermal. It could be battery storage. So alternative energy is, in a very, very simple definition, anything that doesn't come from fossil fuels.
Okay, makes sense. And then what does the Awareness Group do when it comes to alternative energy?
Okay, well, the Awareness Group is a platform of different services that are provided to the service providers in the industry with the intention of providing an all-inclusive alternative energy solution to those service providers. And by service providers, I mean the sales organizations and the contractors that are needing the services that the Awareness Group provides. Now, what does the Awareness Group provide? They provide our sales organizations, we provide them the ability to find financial solutions to their projects. We provide them the ability to connect with contractors to get their projects installed. We have over 700 sales organizations and sales contractors in our sales representatives in our platform. For our contractors, we provide them the ability to go ahead and find financial solutions to their projects. We provide them the ability to go ahead and have distribution channels to go ahead and find material for their projects, to be able to find material in more of an expedient manner, and a lot of times being able to go ahead and utilize what we call as a direct pay model to go ahead and make sure that they can pay for their material at the funding of the project, to eliminate the ability to have the necessity to have to cash flow the project all the way through. This is a very, very front-ended capital business industry, and as a result of that, a lot of contractors end up not being able to sustain themselves because of the fact that there's a long runway from the time that you're paying for your project and you're getting funded on your project. Another huge component that we have is our finance division. We have both internal and external financial solutions to both commercial and residential projects, in the fact that we own our own PPA, where we actually own we provide the financing to go ahead and own the systems to go ahead and put on our balance sheet, and then we provide the servicing and offer that solution to the customer. One of the big components of that is the fact that we have what's called a no FICO program, meaning that instead of historically, solar has been available only to those that have excellent credit, that have excellent situation as far as that's concerned. Here, what we do, and one of the biggest mission statements that our company has, is to go ahead and democratize solar, to go ahead and make solar available to the masses and not just the upper class or the upper echelon of the country. So we provide a no FICO program, whereas as long as you're a homeowner and you can go ahead and show ownership of the property, you have the ability to go ahead and experience the same benefits of solar that any other family would. So it's been, we launched the program in June of 2024. It's been extremely successful. And in actuality, we are also taking it now internationally to municipalities in other countries. So we'll be announcing a little bit more of that as we go, but that's something we're very, very excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. So to sort of say that back to you, you provide these financial and product-based services to the companies who are the contractors and the sales and the installs. But at the end of the day, it's really about the end user, the end customer having access to these alternative energy resources that they might not have access to otherwise.
In a nutshell, yes. Instead of a typical solar company, their end user, their client is the end user. So one of the negatives of that is the fact that for that company, client acquisition is a one-time thing. If I acquire you as a client and I spend my money to go ahead and facilitate the marketing necessary to acquire that client, I only have the ability to get one transaction out of you. I can't put solar on your roof twice. It doesn't work like that. So by the way that we do it, and the fact that our clients are the service providers, we are the ones that are providing all of the services necessary so that ultimately that service provider, whether it be an EPC, whether it be a sales organization, has the ability to go ahead and literally find a one-stop shop. They can get everything that they need directly from the awareness group.
Yeah. And for my understanding from a chief commercial officer, or for a chief commercial officer, in my mind, I sort of go to residential versus commercial. But what exactly does your day-to-day look like in terms of, growing the business and like contributing to building the awareness group?
My responsibility as the chief commercial officer is all points revenue, growth, structuring deals, building financial models, bringing opportunities and turning those opportunities into profitable entities. As a chief commercial officer, that is my responsibility. My responsibility is to see to it that revenue streams are coming into TAG.
Yeah. And maybe you could walk us through how a deal would get done from start to finish.
Sure. Are you talking about just like a regular residential transaction?
Yeah, I guess maybe one that would be interesting from the perspective of like, I'm new to this industry and maybe, I don't really understand how deal flow works. Yeah.
So let's say that again, the awareness group is the one that's providing the services. So we bring on sales organizations and we bring on contractors into our network. We vet them, we train them, we onboard them. Service providers in the industry are coming to TAG in need of the services. So where TAG comes in is we connect the dots. What we have coined and we have branded as the TAG grid is the ability to go ahead and have an individual come in and utilize any of the different services that we need. So let's take, for example, a sales organization. The sales organization would be onboarded to TAG, vetted, trained to use all of the different services. They would then have equipped, they would then be equipped with, let's just use the PPA program. So they would be equipped with the PPA no FICO program. They would go to their client, being the end user, the customer, whether it be a homeowner, whether it be a business owner, it really doesn't matter. It's interchangeable. From there, the business owner or the homeowner would be presented with the financing option that TAG would be able to provide. And at that point, then the EPC, the sales organization would essentially sell the project. They would then turn it over to our finance division, again, one of the arms of our company. Mm-hmm. Our finance division would do a very robust verification of the project to make sure it's a valid and accurate project. They will conduct a recorded verification call. They will do a quality control and a quality analysis on the project to make sure that there's a benefit to the homeowner. They will make sure that all of the documents are in line. Once that's done, at that point, if it was a contractor that was selling that program, that project, in conjunction, if they were the sales organization and the contractor, at that point, the awareness group would issue what's called notice to proceed, which means that we would tell the contractor, okay, all of the documents are in line, all of your front end has been cleaned up, your contract has been signed, your customer has been verified, you're okay to go ahead and begin the pre-construction process. If it was a situation where it was just a sales organization, at that point, then our construction division would then connect it with one of our licensed, vetted, and onboarded contractors who is tag approved to go ahead and install tag projects. Again, connecting the dots. What does the sales organization need? From there, we oversee the process. In commercial, it's called owner's rep management. In general terms, it's just oversight is the best way to put it. We're not the licensed contractor. We don't actually do the work. We don't go onto the roof and actually put the panels on. We guarantee the entire process. We oversee the entire process. Once the pre-construction is done on the project, which roughly takes 15 to 25 days, at that point, then the contractor will explain that it's necessary to go ahead and get the material ordered. So we'll use our distribution channels to go ahead and procure the material necessary to do the job, have the material shipped to the job site. The contractor will then complete the installation of the system, go ahead and request what's called a GREET tag or municipality approval. Once we get that, at that point, then we'll go ahead and if we are utilizing an investor, we'll go ahead and submit to the investor for funding. We'll go ahead and distribute the funds. We guarantee all the money goes through us. We make sure everybody is paid. We make sure the sales organization is paid, the EPC is paid, the material is paid for. And then from there, once they get a green tag, it takes about 30 days for the system to be turned on. And then the customer is then experiencing the benefits of solar.
So in my mind, I would assume that the company who's selling me solar sort of has all of those steps inside of its org. So my question to you is, during the inception of the awareness group, what was sort of that market problem that you guys identified? Was it that, the sales groups and the contractor companies were totally different? Was it just that they didn't get enough customers, and so your financing option enables them to, have their books fully booked? Like, what was sort of the impetus for you guys to say, hey, if we manage this process end to end, we're going to be providing value into the market?
Right. So we've been in the solar business for a long time. Our CEO, Pablo Diaz, started his first solar company about 18 to 20 years ago. I've been with the company for roughly 14 years. When we first started, what you would call the traditional solar model was that a solar company would have an internal sales team, and that they would take those internal sales leads and have salespeople sell those deals. And then subsequently that same company would complete the actual installation of the project. So you didn't have the separation between sales organization and EPC. It was all one and the same. The problem with that is, as things evolved, you found groups that were really, really, really good at installs and groups that were really, really, really good at sales. Yeah. And you started to see a division in the fact that it made more sense for the emphasis to be on one or the other. Okay. So that created what was called the dealer. So a dealer is just a sales organization that goes out and initiates, they generate their own leads, they initiate their own leads, they sell their own deals, and then they turn them over to an installer to go ahead and complete the installation services. So you started to see a significant division in pick a side. You're either a sales organization or an installer. Well, what we found when during the origination of TAG was that there needed to be a middle ground. There needed to be an intermediary between those two that could connect all of those dots, because there are so many different services that are needed that connects one to the other. Plus, we have the ability to go ahead and provide one to the other. If a sales organization comes to us, and maybe they are a dealer, but they're a dealer in California, and they come across a sale that they want to do in Kansas, but they don't know a contractor in Kansas. Instead of they could come to us and we could say, okay, we'll connect you with the tag contractor in Kansas.
Yeah.
You can use our services for that. Subsequently, if you have a contractor that may be in Arizona and business is really slow right now and they need additional sales, well, they could become a tag approved contractor and be eligible to receive the sales that we have in Arizona to have them go ahead and take on additional install business. Yeah. It's a necessity in the industry to have a connecting point, and that's where tag has found its home.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because as you walked us through the deal, you mentioned probably 20 different touch points of coordination between different, but even between local municipalities, between different companies, the homeowner themselves. Like it makes a lot of sense that it would sort of transition. So as you guys have transitioned and, scaled successfully and are a successful business, what are the challenges? Like, how have the challenges changed from the inception to now? Is it capital? Raising capital is different. Is it like the people running HR has gotten harder? Is it finding, you know what I mean? Like, walk me through sort of how it's changed as you guys have grown.
There's a few things. So one, when I first came into the industry 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was, every single time that a new market would open up, the subsidies and the incentives to go into that market were very valuable. So case in point, in Arizona, when solar first opened, utility companies were offering monetary incentives to their customers to go solar. So in addition to getting a federal tax subsidy, which still, up until December 31st existed, it no longer does. They were also receiving a subsidy from the utility company. One of the other biggest things that changed and has provided a difference, and again, a lot of it is, I feel that the utility companies felt that they were getting the short end of the stick and continued to make it more and more difficult for people to experience financial benefits from solar. When you first started in the solar industry, there's a thing called net metering, and net metering is essentially the definition of when the sun's up and the solar system is generating power, your meter is going backwards, and then when you're using power, your meter is going forwards, and it's a dollar for dollar change. So when the system is generating power, let's say you're paying 20 cents a watt for your power, that you're sending 20 cents a watt into the grid. And then when you're using it, you're paying 20 cents a watt for the power. Dollar in, dollar out. So it was very easy to say, okay, based on that, we can go ahead and put a solar system together that's going to use all of your power to the point where you don't have any additional charge. Slowly but surely, utility companies started getting away from that, and they got into a situation where you could spend the money at full rate, but then when you sent power back to the grid, you would only get paid a fraction of what you were paying. So it became more and more difficult for customers to see the same benefit. If you talk to a customer that got solar 15 years ago versus a customer that had solar now, the massive difference as far as the benefits that the customers are receiving. And why is that? In my opinion, it's because of the fact that the utility companies said, wait a second here, there's not enough skin in the game here for us to make our money. We need to make it more and more difficult for the solar companies to exist. That's one problem. The second, obviously, the change in the administration a couple of years ago has changed the country's attitude as far as solar is concerned. So it has diverted the attention back to what's called a PPA versus a situation where a customer can own their own solar system. That's actually good for us because of the fact that our program that we offer as far as our no FICO program is concerned is a PPA. So in a roundabout way, the big beautiful bill actually helped us as opposed to hurt us, because it took away all of the other programs that customers were using and fed them right into the program that we are proud to offer. And then the third thing, unfortunately, is the fact that the solar industry has been hurt by some not necessarily scrupulous salespeople that have gone around and sold things that didn't necessarily help the customer. And solar's kind of gotten a black eye as far as that's concerned. So, they're growing pains. The industry just exploded to the point where they were probably not doing the very best that they could at training people and making sure that people completely understood what they were selling. And unfortunately, they're kind of licking their wounds right now because of it.
Yeah. And all of those things you just mentioned to me feel like challenges with sort of customer acquisition and like that side of the business, which I know is sort of your wheelhouse as sort of focusing on revenue. Is there anything else from a, operational perspective
Definitely.
that you guys have felt as you've transitioned, whether it's getting the financing partners or anything like that you sort of are like, oh, when we were younger, we didn't have this problem, and now that we're bigger, we have this kind of problem. Any other color there?
A couple of things. So one, there has been significant changes as far as the finance programs are concerned. So that is something that is a daily adjustment as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
Second, as we have become bigger, things just get slower. So it's just balancing speed with compliance, making sure that everything is still kind of kept in line, but all the while still trying to go ahead and maintain the expediency that we did before is a little bit more difficult. Cash flow is always, especially in this type of industry, in a capital intensive industry like we're in right now.
Yeah.
And the fact that, again, as I said before, a lot of these expenses are front loaded to the point where funding doesn't come in until after the fact. Cash flow management is a massive thing. So I would say that those are three of the other major components that we deal with.
Yeah. It makes sense with the capital. It's interesting though that you see that challenge from the customer's perspective, from the dealer's perspective, from the sales, it's
Sure.
like everyone is having the challenge of okay, we need a lot of money up front to make this happen. And it sounds like TAG helps alleviate those problems for the end user and sort of puts that ownership.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we really pride ourselves on, is if we can go ahead and make it easier for our EPCs and our sales organizations to facilitate what they're trying to do as far as the project is concerned through our direct pay model and through the ability to go ahead and have them be able to work through our distributors and not have to front money for material. That's really, really helpful for them. And that's one of the big components of our program.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm interested in your perspective on just sort of has to do with the alternative energy industry in general. I feel like there's been this narrative around energy transition, and I've even had the privilege of speaking to other entrepreneurs on this show who are involved in different carbon capture and, even rooftop gardens and things like that. What's your opinion on why adoption isn't happening as fast as maybe everyone sort of wants it to from a global crisis sort of perspective?
I hate to blame the current administration, but I mean, there's definitely a different feel of alternative energy in the last 2 years than there was before. I feel that we were moving in that direction.
Okay.
I think that there's a couple big misconceptions as far as alternative energy is concerned. Number one, I think people think that it's an expensive luxury, where it's really not. It's a replacement of a debt that you're already paying. If you're paying an electric bill and you're renting your electricity, and you're renting your electricity from a company that could at any point in time, for as many times as they wished every single year, raise your rates and make you pay more, This is an alternative to take that and not have it happen again.
Yeah.
Even in a PPA situation where maybe you don't own the solar system, you have an established payment that you're going to be making that we cannot arbitrarily raise on you. And solar is an economic decision. So you're going to be saving at least 10, 15, 20% as far as your monthly bills are concerned. So I think that's a big misconception. And then I think the second misconception, and it's been solved a lot by the storage component that's gone in, is that solar is unreliable. Well, what if the clouds are out? Or what if the power, I still don't have power if my system goes down, or whatever. The fact that batteries are so prominent now, and they have come down as far as the price point is concerned, well below where they were before, has made it now a very, very primary component of alternative energy, and it does fix the reliability issue. You know, one market that we are very prominent in is Puerto Rico, and we've entered it a couple months ago and done very, very well there. And the reason being is because the grid in Puerto Rico is very unreliable. So people experience power losses 2 to 3 times a week. So the fact that the solar helps, but the biggest component is the battery. Having the battery to go ahead and serve as the opportunity to go ahead and cut power when the power goes out in your neighborhood has changed the game as far as solar is concerned. And I mean, people seem to still think that solar is the future, or that alternative energy or clean energy is the future. This is something that, you know, you see a lot of, oh, in the next 20 years, we want to get to this as far as our energy is concerned. The clean energy is not the future, it's the present. It's now. It needs to be now. It is a better fiscal solution. It is a more reliable solution, and it's the fastest growing energy sector that we have. And we're seeing it now. Not only we're still seeing it in the United States, and again, there's some mitigating circumstances that have changed that a little bit, but we're seeing it globally. And it's amazing that when we are going to now talk to, and we have been in conversations with other governmental administrations outside of the country, how receptive and how excited they are to have us come in and offer our services. It is a welcome change versus not necessarily being not necessarily being the solution to the problem on the home front right now.
Yeah, it's very hopeful. I feel hopeful based on what you said, which as someone who obviously wants us to have clean, sustainable energy forever, I appreciate that perspective. I guess sort of, so maybe what's next for the awareness group? Like I've sort of have been hearing this focus on solar, but you also mentioned, any type of energy that isn't fossil fuels. Are you guys looking to sort of keep expanding geographically? Are you going to expand into different sources of energy? Like, what's on the horizon for the awareness group?
It's a combination of a couple of things, and you hit on a few. Yes, the goal is we've now established a blueprint for a PPA program that we can, for all intents and purposes, drop anywhere in the world and it will work. So providing the ability for people around the world to experience the benefits of solar is definitely a company aspiration. Second, there are different areas of alternative energy that we've just started to touch the surface with. Storage being a huge one. The ability to utilize storage through what's called a virtual power plant to provide back to the grid the ability to go ahead and get through catastrophic events. So the combination of a fleet of batteries that would be sent back to the grid in the event that there was an earthquake in California and everybody lost power, and then we would be able to send power back. That's an area that we're really looking at. It's the additional components that come from from the batteries we're talking about. The third is the continued goal of our PPA program in the United States, providing solar to as many families as possible to allow them to experience the fiscal benefits that they otherwise wouldn't be able to receive. So I think that those are the three big, I don't want to use the word goals, but those are our three initiatives as we move forward through the rest of this year.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Brian, thank you so much for your perspective on, the industry and talking through how alternative energy is working and how you guys are enabling, even more individuals and residences and all of that to get it. And yeah, I really appreciate your time and expertise.
Absolutely.